When attacking a defender, using the cross step is an excellent move as it provides you with 3 reads and 3 opportunities at beating that defender. When using the cross step, there's typically 3 ways that a defender will guard that move or that step, that footwork. So as the point guard is coming in, last week we actually looked at it where we was on the catch. So we still had our dribble, we still had all of our pivots. This week we are looking at coming in with the live dribble. And you'll see in the videos a couple of the ways that I look to get into that cross step position, essentially getting that defender possibly on my hip or getting them to dive to the rim where I can shoot it, or possibly they overcorrect and they actually give me a gap in the opposite direction. So there's a couple different things that will happen, like we said. So the first one is where we look to get right up on that defender. We hit them with our cross step, and they stay where they are. And that means they're going to be on our back hip. And I just want to keep that defender on my back hip or even beside me, even if I can get shoulder to shoulder. And then I just continue making my reads downhill, attack to the rim until you're picked up. So again, with this one here, we are attacking. Defender stays where they are, or maybe they're delayed, and we actually are going to lean onto them, you'll see in the video, and we're going to catapult ourselves ahead or hip crank. So option 2 that the defender will most likely have is they might realize that you're coming at them, and they're just going to try and beat you to the spot. They're going to beat you to the block or to the rim. So if that's what's happening as they're diving, we're just going to stop and rise up into a jump shot. And you're going to see in the video today, we're actually going to look at attacking, getting into the cross step, and then staying right where we are and getting a good shot off. And the third thing that could happen here is this defender is very aggressive. They're very quick. So as we're attacking or we try to get to that cross step, they're actually going to jump and force a turn. And that's fine because we've got a bunch of skills that will let us do that. So as we get to there, they turn us, we are just going to turn direction and get to the open space. Again, continue to make reads as we need to. Hey everybody, so this week we are going to be looking at the cross step continued. So we're taking it one step further from last week. Last week we were looking at the cross step off the catch or on the catch, where we still had both pivot feet, we had our dribble as well. And we were setting up 3 reads, whereas the defender either stayed where they were, they dove off of you, or they overcorrected and went to your ball side. The same 3 reads are going to play with this type of move as well. So we're going to use the cross step with our live dribble. So we're going to step into the cross step, we're going to get across that defender's frame, we're going to protect the ball with our frame, our body, and we're going to get those same 3 reads. The defender's going to have to play us perfectly, or we will get to execute. So we're going to look at a couple quick breakdowns first as we get into this. So this is just a pound, push that we're getting over. We're pushing the ball across our frame, and I'm really making an emphasis on the pushing it to the opposite foot. Here we're now adding that actual cross step. So it's a crossover. I'm going to cross into that defender, and as I'm doing that, so that's the cross step. I'm protecting the ball with my offhand. It's open, it's ready to pop. My chin is facing somewhere towards the rim almost, and it's tough to see with the sunglasses on, but the eyes are up and making the read. So as I'm in this cross step position, if that defender stays where they are, where the cone is, I'm going to essentially get into what's called a hip crank, or I'm going to be catapulting myself forward, essentially. You'll see. If the defender dives back to the red paint, then we will be able to rise up into a jump shot. And if the defender jumps all the way over to our ball side, we're going to be getting into a spin or a change of direction. So we can also get into the cross step with a through the legs. This is probably my favorite. It's a protected dribble. So same process. We're just working on the actual cross step. And you'll see sometimes I'm playing with a one dribble rhythm, and sometimes I was using the two. And I encourage you all to experiment with different dribble rhythms and tempos. So the behind wrap, both ways. So essentially same idea. It's a cross step, and we can use the crossover dribble, the through the legs dribble, and the behind the back dribble to get into that footwork. So here we're going to see a few progressions of me getting into that. So instead of just standing in front of the cone and doing it, like I said, we're using our live dribble. So we're going to be maybe dribbling at a defender, and you're just going to see me play with the speed, the low, the height, and then the width, the lowness. Yeah, good. Here we're getting into some actual reads. So you're gonna see a bunch of different methods of getting into the cross step. So the crossover, the through the legs dribble, and the behind. I'll demonstrate all of those. The first read we're looking at here is we cross step over on the defender. So we get to there, and we're gonna realize that, oh, they didn't move. So that front leg, the one that has the Nike white Nike swoosh on the leg, that's gonna become a pivot leg. And I'm actually, see how low I am? My head is leaning forward, my shoulders are forward, and I am catapulting myself forward. I'm literally launching into that next step. You might also hear this as called a hip crank, because right there we're cranking that back hip forward, and we're going to try to get to the rim. Okay, so let's see what that looks like with the hip crank or catapult. So I'm leaning into that defender. I'm going to pin them there, and then I'm just pivoting around that front foot, launching forward. So a couple different reads, and I'm not too concerned about the secondary reads. Mostly just this first cross step is what we're looking at. And then just have some fun when you get to the second layer, third layer of defense. Same idea here. We're going to get into through the legs now into the cross step. Same idea. Just push that forward, crank that hip forward, leave that defender behind you. So here, the defender is actually jumped off of us. So we're going to come at them. We're going to step over, and I'm just going to front pivot. We call this a 1 foot replacement. So I just simply replace that front foot, and I'm up into my jump shot. You're going to see me do this with a through the legs and a behind the back. And it's essentially just a front pivot. We set that second foot right down under our hip. Actually, we drive it down, and then we lift up. So I cross step, and then I'm up into my stroke. So I realize right here, defender's jumped off, and I'm up. So that's actually the second method right there, which is not a 1 foot replacement, but rather it is a 2 foot replacement. So I just cross step that defender, and I very quickly, very athletically, I want to set my feet, and I actually want to step. I'm going to actually create a little extra separation. So instead of just simply stepping forward on that left foot, I actually can create another foot of separation. And ever so slightly, the feet come off, the ball's getting popped, both feet land under my hips, eyes are on the rim, and then we're up and out on the target. So this is the 2 foot replacement. Quick little hip swivel, and we're up into our shot. Same thing here. And really try to use the corner of your eye right there to find the rim, and it will make your shot a little bit easier. Little jab on that lead foot. Quick swivels, keeping myself coiled low, ready to shoot, and I pop the shot. The next few looks we're going to look at here are what happens when the defender is really athletic, really aggressive, and they jump, they overcommit, and they're going to try and turn you. We're actually going to use a spin here. We're going to have a lot of fun. So as we get into this step, we're going to imagine that this defender has jumped around, and they're actually going to be reaching for that basketball. They'd be reaching for that ball probably with their left hand. I'm actually going to use my left hand, the one that's up on my hip, and I'm going to spin away from this defender. This is one of my favorite moves. So cross step and spin away. And I'm just going to shoot elbow jumpers out of all of these. So it's through the legs, quick little spin away. And I'm sure you can keep your hips a little lower than what I'm demonstrating and can spin a little faster as well. But essentially, these are the mechanics. And the last one we're going to look at is just a quick little change of direction where we're going to cross step, and I'm just going to pop up, and I'm just going to get my hips facing. So essentially right now my hips are facing the sideline where the cameraman is. After I do my hip swivel, my hips are now facing down into the opposite corner, and I'm going to attack on that line. So it's a different move. It's going to achieve the same end result as the spin, but there's definitely going to time and place for both. So a quick little swivel, I push that dribble out, and I get my jump shot. And if you notice the footwork that I get on that, so it's through my legs, and it's that cross step again. So I just crossed over that defender, and I'd get the same 3 reads here. If that defender stays inside, I can push the dribble out. If they go to the rim, I can just rise up into my shot. Or if they overcorrect and they jump to my ball side hand, I would just simply change the direction and continue the attack. So the counter step, it's a great move. It works almost anywhere on the court in any setting. Make it yours. So these videos and the notes, I encourage you to review them all, practice them, ask questions, but with these notes and videos, you should have all the weapons you need to have a deadly cross-step package. With the 1 to 2 dribbles, you're scoring threat, and you're setting up 3 familiar reads that work almost anywhere in the court within your shooting range, and they're very easy to recognize. So set those reads up with a through the legs, a crossover, or behind the back. Combine that with a little cross step, get that defender to react. They're going to react in one of 3 ways, and you're going to capitalize on the other 2 that they can't take away. So have fun.